go. What's up, everyone? Digital Contractor here. So, check it out. This is the board of truth because a lot of people, a lot of companies, agencies, etc., consultants, whatever, they only handle certain parts of, of the business, and we wanted to draw this out and kind of give you guys an overall perspective on what it is that we actually do as a whole. And I'm just going to dive right in here because the whole point about what we're trying to accomplish is not just, hey, can we come into your business and help you with your marketing or help you with recruiting or do some sales training. The overall concept of what we're trying to, prove to you guys is that when we come into your business, we're looking at doing a full-blown assessment, and that means literally going through every piece of the business and creating actual algorithms, okay? And these algorithms are what are used to scale the actual business. And by doing this, we can go through, right? You have your ITS, so your inbound traffic sources, your content management system, which is like all your marketing and stuff like that. Your business operations, which is, the software that you're using for that, which analyzes, essentially should analyze, lead scoring, closing percentages, and the financial architecture of the business and all of that. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to come in and analyze everything that you're doing right now with your marketing, the actual sources, but not just the sources. We want to be able to analyze each box independently. So if we were to look at the door-to-door side, we would want to be able to analyze each rep, even each canvasser, right? Going a step further. Certain other things too, like if you're running Facebook versus Google, maybe you're running Blip, right? Digital billboards. If you don't know what Blip is, it's actually a really cool tool. It's super cheap to run billboards. It's like you can do it for like $20 a day, but it's just digital, and they've got a bunch of them everywhere. But we call this the KPI intake wheel because this is all your ITS, all your inbound traffic sources, right? And so whatever these numbers are, these numbers will determine what gets spit out over here, right? And we need to make sure that our whole goal when we're doing these assessments is to make sure we're analyzing all the data all the way through, and then making sure that whatever is getting spit out at the end falls within this financial architecture or this financial wheel, right? Which is a breakdown. Again, this is something that we've gone through before and explained, but basically, your goal is to make a 15% profit, is to be around there. You get a lot of guys that are like, oh, I make a 45 or a 50% profit. They don't know what they're actually talking about. They don't actually know how to scale. They're not doing anything that, if you ask them how many sales guys they have, they probably have 0 because they don't know what they're doing. So, but again, you're trying to make a 15% profit. Material and labor is usually 50%. Your overhead is usually a 15% cost, which is like your office, insurance, et cetera, whatever. Your sales guys are typically going to fall around a 10%. Sometimes if the way it's set up, and I can explain this better, but sales is 10%, but if you're talking about canvassers are technically marketing, okay? So, which gives you 20% to play with when setting up systems like this. And then your marketing is 10%, right? So, and again, we've kind of gone through this before, but essentially the whole point is that if I break down this algorithm, right, cost per lead, cost per schedule, cost per sales, cost per acquisition, cost per job, overall total cost of everything, and I spit out whatever, if the job was 10 grand, right? So I'll just break it down. I'll just explain. So let's say the lead was $50, but we had 2 leads come in, and out of those 2 leads, only 1 scheduled, and out of every one that schedules, there's a 50% closing ratio. So we could say that essentially, I'm just put this like this, essentially that this is $200 to actually, this lead to get this sale was $200. So we can go ahead and actually say, now obviously your cost per acquisition is going to be, what you're paying out and the sales guys and stuff like that. But the point that I'm making is that let's say it was $200 out of this 10%, right? You can say this job was $200, but I have $1,000 because it was a $10,000 job. So I have 1,000, that comes back into this wheel. So essentially, to acquire more of this, you're going to put, let's say you put 800 back in, right? Along with that 200, multiply that by 5. Now you're spitting out, instead of spitting out a $1,500 profit on one, you're basically just circling through. And now you're spitting out a $7,500 profit by putting 10% back into like a vending machine, right? So our goal is to be able to come into the business and kind of go through all these things. Now we understand, we get all of this, right? We understand marketing, we understand recruiting and HR, we understand sales training, door to door, all of that, technology systems. So your software, most of you guys aren't using an ERP yet, but we want to get you guys to that point because we want to put everything in one so that we can actually, and I'll explain that too, but having everything in one system allows you to actually create what is called business intelligence, right? And you need a GUI board to do that. So a BI board or like a GUI, which is like a graphics user interface to actually like take the data that's through here and build these algorithms out to scale. But you can't do this when you're on AccuLinks or JobNimbus, or even HubSpot is not capable of doing this. So you have to be like using a real system when you want to actually do this stuff. But the businesses come down to three things, right? And operations and SOPs, and then financial architecture, obviously. And we want to make sure that wheel, what is red, what is green. And we basically want to identify each thing that's in here. And as it's running through, we want to see if it's going to go red or green. We have a calculator, a KPI calculator, like on our website, so rooferslunchbox.com. And you can actually plug some of these numbers in. It's a little finicky, but it should be good. But again, these come down to three things, which is people, technology, and numbers. We want to go into the business and do like we'll call it a 30-point assessment to actually assess all this stuff, analyze the people, technology, and numbers. We want to sit down and design an 8-figure roadmap and then break that down into a month by month, like a milestone of like what needs to be done, each service for that month. And then so that being said, that allows us to, which brings me to my next point, is being able to do all of these things at $3,000 a month. And the reason why we're doing that is because we know that you guys can't afford, and we're not saying, we're not making fun of you. We're not saying you're broke. We're just saying your business is not in a situation when you're doing 1 to 10 million a year. You're not in a position to actually be able to have a contract for all of these at the same time. You would go broke. It's not in your wheel, right? This is what's in your wheel for marketing. Like this is like what you're allowed to do for sales. Like that, we have to keep everything within this wheel to make sure that everything is green. So that way, when we run all this stuff through, and we'll go through the CMS side too. We'll go through like your SEO. We'll go through the website. We'll see what's going on with all of that. We want to do a full-blown assessment. We want to look at culture too. That's another big thing that people don't really usually touch base on, but we want to take a look at the culture, look at the retention rates. We want to do some analyzing and check out the closing ratios. The reason why it's important to do lead scoring and have good like to assess the closing ratios is because let's say leads come in from like Facebook or Google, and let's say they're coming in with like a lead score of like 4 or 5. We want to make sure that we give the ones that are lower lower quality. We want to give them to our best performing sales guys because we know that they're more likely to close them, obviously, but we want to give the better ones to to our new guys because we want to build their confidence up, and we want to make sure that they are closing and they're getting in the right mindset of closing and making that money because we want to keep them. We want to keep our retention rates in the green as well. So all of these things as a whole is kind of what we do. And I think that there's been some confusion because a lot of people will be like, hey, I don't need marketing. Or we're not trying to come in here and sell you marketing. We're trying to come in. We're trying to do a full-blown assessment. I've personally scaled roofing companies to 8 figures. So I have the entire roadmap laid out. I know exactly what we're going to do, like how we're going to do it, etc. Sam and I have worked together on building a lot of this out, and with his experience as well. And I can assure you that, you guys are in really good hands, especially when it comes to the actual scaling part, because it's not just about, hey, these are the things, like you show up to these to these events and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, these are the things you could be doing, blah, blah, blah. But you don't actually like, you leave the event or whatever, and you don't really like have something like where you understand what the deal is. And you know what I'm saying? Like you have no, like there's no like tangible thing that you can actually like implement or something. It's like in half the time you forget what it is anyway. So by us coming in and doing the assessment and then designing the actual plan, we have a roadmap that you're actually like, like that's tangible, right? That has everything on it. Here's our weak points. Here's where we need to do the actual improvements. And then once we get you on a subscription, we will go ahead and we'll actually create, we'll do the assessment, and then we'll create the actual month by month breakdown on, different services that you would get, for that month, depending on what that looks like for you, like for your business, which we would obviously figure out after the assessment. And then we can go ahead and create the actual algorithms and implement data science to basically give you an algorithm that says, as long as you follow this, your business will scale rapidly, right? And again, if every time I get paid, I come back in and I dump what I need to dump back into marketing, which then, and again, we use marketing as the big one because marketing is the inbound, right? It's the input. So there's an input to an output, right? Like you walk up to a vending machine and you put $1 in and it spits out a Coke, right? But, hold on, roofers. Hold on. Pepsi, we'll go with Pepsi. So basically, essentially, by doing that, we're doing the same thing here. We're creating this vending machine where we say, as long as we put X amount in input, it'll spin around and it'll basically kick this out in profit. And then we can just say, okay, well, if this stays true, and now we have everything in the green because we've reassessed everything, we've gotten everything where it needs to be so that it's all in the green, right? And now we can say, if I multiply this by 5, I'm going to spit this. If I multiply this by 10, I'm going to spit double. Does that make sense? And that's how you scale in a safe way. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to Sam or reach out to Roofer's Lunchbox. And we're going to be doing a lot with BizBoxes as a whole, moving into different industries. And this is kind of like a really big, it's a big deal. This is awesome. And so we're super excited. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.